Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a fascinating stack of sources in front of us, all about the 2025 live-action How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, quite a collection. Articles, reviews, cinema blends, slash films, Screen Rant, Rotten Tomatoes, even Reddit and Kotaku discussions.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really wade through all these reactions, these reports, and pull out the most important insights for you. You know, what worked, what stirred things up, and I guess what does it all tell us about the tricky business of bringing animation into live action?
It's always a challenge, isn't it? Especially with something so beloved.
Totally. There's been huge excitement, but also, let's be honest, quite a bit of apprehension from fans who grew up with the original films.
Absolutely. You see that tension clearly in the sources, translating that unique style, that deep emotional connection.
Oh.
It's a high-stakes game.
So we're going to figure out why people are talking and give you the key takeaways.
These sources definitely give us a great snapshot of that whole spectrum, the highs and, well, the points that made people think a bit more.
Okay, diving right in then. One thing just keeps coming up again and again in these reviews. How faithful this adaptation apparently is.
Oh, absolutely. That seems to be a major, major win, according to most of what we've seen. The film was incredibly meticulous in recreating iconic scenes.
Like which ones specifically?
Well, think about the big ones from the first movie. Hiccup's first tentative meeting with Toothless.
Right.
That amazing first flight sequence. And even those quieter moments, you know, where their friendship really starts to build.
Okay.
They seem to have brought those to life with stunning fidelity, really capturing the original's feel in live action.
And why do you think that landed so well? Based on the sources, I mean.
Well, it's nostalgia, isn't it? That kind of dedication, it evokes really powerful feelings. It taps right into the emotional connection people already have.
Good sense.
Yeah, reviews kept saying things like, it captures the magic of the original in almost every way. And another one mentioned all the big moments there, all the heart and excitement too. So it feels like that faithfulness was a very deliberate and effective choice.
Okay, but if we're talking magic, we absolutely have to talk about the star. Again, Toothless.
Oh, definitely.
From everything I've read here, the live-action Toothless is like the main event. People love him.
He really seems to be.
Yeah.
Widespread, almost universal acclaim for the live-action version. The design, especially.
How so? What are they saying about the design?
Well, it manages that really difficult balancing act, you know, making him look like a plausible, sort of real-world creature, but keeping all those incredibly endearing, almost cat-like qualities that made him so lovable in the animation. That charm.
Yeah, I saw some amazing quotes like, prepare to fall in love with Toothless all over again.
Yeah.
And this one really got me. I've never loved a CGI creature more than Toothless. That's huge praise.
It really is. It speaks volumes about the visual effects team's craftsmanship. They didn't just, you know, render a dragon. They kept his personality, his expressiveness, that charm, all within this more realistic look. It's a massive achievement with CGI, especially for such an iconic character.
And it sounds like that visual quality wasn't just limited to Toothless, the whole world.
It seems not. The sources are full of comments about the overall visual storytelling just being, well, breathtaking.
Like the world of Brooke itself.
Exactly. Rendered with apparently exquisite detail, making it feel fantastical, but also tangible, solid, like you could step into it.
Yeah.
And the flight sequences, people really called this out, delivering this like visceral sense of freedom and scale. You feel like you're up there with them.
I saw one review calling it a gorgeous reimagining, breathtaking visuals.
Yeah.
Another just flat out visually stunning. So the look and feel were clearly major parts of the experience.
Seems crucial. Translating that unique aesthetic, that grand scale, into live action visuals, that looks like a key factor in why so many people responded positively.
Okay, so we've hit the big wins. Faithfulness, Toothless, visuals. Let's pivot a bit. Areas that maybe sparked more debate, didn't get quite that universal praise.
Right.
Starting with casting.
Right. That's where things get a little more mixed, based on the commentary we're seeing.
Okay.
Though Mason Thames as Hiccup, that seems to be a definite highlight for a lot of people.
Yeah. What do they like?
His performance is often praised for really capturing Hiccup's arc. You know, moving authentically from that awkward kid to the brave, innovative person he becomes.
I did see some really strong quotes for him, like the definition of perfect,
Wow.
and that he truly embodies who Hiccup is. So strong support for the lead, at least.
It seems so, however. The sources also show some concerns from fans about other casting choices.
Ah, okay. What kind of concerns?
Specifically, discussion around character appearances and sometimes ethnic representations that some viewers felt didn't quite match how the characters looked or were perceived in the original animation.
And that just highlights that classic adaptation challenge, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Bringing characters to life.
Yeah.
How do you stay true, meet fan expectations, and make new creative choices? It's tough.
It's a really complex navigation, and these different reactions show that for this film, it was definitely a point of conversation. And yeah, for some, a point of disappointment.
Okay. Another point that popped up in the discussions you sent. The absence of the light fury.
Yes, that's noted as a point of contention, particularly among fans who are really invested in the whole franchise, the whole story.
Right, because she wasn't in the first animated movie, which this remake focuses on.
Exactly, she comes in later. But some fans still felt leaving her out entirely was maybe a missed opportunity.
Why? What was the thinking there?
Well, it seems some commentary suggested that for people who know Toothless's full story from the trilogy, leaving out his major companion, well, it maybe diminished his character arc a bit, or missed a chance to explore the wider dragon lore she represents. It shows how much fans carry the whole story with them, even when an adaptation is just looking at the beginning.
Which kind of leads us to maybe the biggest question hanging over this film, precisely because it's so faithful. Was this remake necessary?
That is a core debate threaded through so much of the commentary. It really is.
You have two camps, basically.
Sort of. On one side, you've got viewers who just loved the nostalgia trip, loved seeing the story and world rendered so beautifully in live action. For them, the faithfulness was the point. It worked.
Right, I saw that quote from a critic saying it does live-action remakes of animated classics, praising its execution as a remake.
But then, on the other side, you find people who were maybe hoping for something more.
More how?
Like a fresh angle, or maybe digging deeper into themes the original only touched on, or just, a stronger reason to revisit the story besides seeing it with real actors and better CGI. There's that feeling in another source, I think it said something like, the new stuff, while good and subtle, it never elevates things enough.
And that just perfectly sums up the challenge, right?
It really does.
Adapting something so well loved and relatively recent, like How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
How do you balance honoring it without just retreading?
Exactly. And how do you add something new without ticking off the fans you want to please?
It's the tightrope walk.
It is for almost every big adaptation these days. And the reactions here just throw that tension into really sharp relief.
And for you, listening, this whole conversation about remakes, especially how this one landed, it tells us so much about what we as audiences actually want when a story comes back.
Yeah.
Is it just that comfort of the familiar but shinier? Or are we secretly hoping it'll show us something new about it?
A question that applies to so many properties being revisited right now.
So let's wrap this up. Our deep dive into the How to Train Your Dragon live-action reactions shows, well, it definitely earned big praise. Faithfulness in recreating moments and adored Toothless, stunning visuals.
Absolutely. Those were clear wins.
Definitely also saw the mixed feelings on some casting, the debate over the Light Fury's absence for some fans, and that bigger underlying question. Was its incredible faithfulness, while an achievement, truly enough for everyone? Did it fully justify itself beyond being a beautiful copy?
The film really serves as both a powerful homage and, a modern reimagining. It navigated those complex adaptation challenges, and it clearly succeeded on a lot of fronts, especially hitting that visual and emotional core of the original.
It certainly gives us and you a lot to think about. And as you consider these reactions, what makes an adaptation work for you? Here's a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
If a live-action version perfectly recaptures the magic, the heart, the beats of the animation, is that success? Is that the ultimate goal achieved? Or should the aim always be, maybe, to use the new medium, its strengths, its perspective, to somehow elevate it? Or offer a genuinely different take on the story and world you thought you knew so well? Something to mull over.